Hey watercolor wizards, Hajra here. Today we'll be unwrapping and swatching 6 new Schmincke watercolor pans I got, and also comparing homemade and Schmincke brand color charts. As usual, art blogs, video notes, sketches, deconstructed painting posts, Q&As, and art gift rewards are available for my patrons on Patreon. So before I get to unwrapping my 6 yummy new watercolor pans, let's take a look at my various Schmincke color charts. This one is an older one that came with my Schmincke pan watercolor set, and this color sheet has printed color strips of all the available colors in spectral order, with their names below each strip along with the price group number, the light fast rating, transparency, opacity, and staining info for each color. It's nice and compact, even though it's now outdated. It doesn't show any of the new Schmincke colors from 2017 and does show some colors that are no longer available. So if you get a new set, it should come with a color chart like this one. It'll be updated. Printed color swatches aren't fully accurate for any brand, of course, and if you want a color chart that shows all the colors true to life, that's where a dot card is very useful. A dot card has actual watercolor paint dots applied to watercolor paper, so you can swatch them in strips on the card itself like I have here, or use the dot samples on a small project like an ATC or postcard painting. I covered this dot card in depth and all the information that you can get from this dot card and how to make use of it in a separate video, so make sure you check that video out. But basically you can see all 140 available colors here on the card and decide which ones you want to buy based on the real life hue and the pigment properties. I also have this current color chart pamphlet from Schmincke. It came for free with some Schmincke stuff that I got recently. So it briefly explains what makes Schmincke paint so luscious and high quality, and then it goes on to show us all the different colors. The colors are on printed rectangles in spectral order that are pretty accurate visually, and the new colors that were added in 2017 are noted as such in the left margins. There's also a cool color data visualization that shows where all the Schmincke colors fall on a color wheel in case you want to choose some for various color schemes, which is very convenient as you can see all the color relationships, analogous, complementary, and so on in this data visualization. So going back to the color rectangles, they're accompanied by full information on each color. The name, price group, pan number, pigment group and number, light fastness, transparency or opacity, staining or not, whether it's granulating or not, and also a written description to help understand the color. There are keys to explain what the symbols and numbers mean, so it's all very clear. For example, this hot pink is a new color which we can see via the circle label at the very left. It's called Brilliant Opera Rose. It's a transparent, non-staining, non-granulating, and one of the only non-light fast colors from Schmincke. And it is Pigment Red 122, a fluorescent pigment, and we can also read that it's pure and brilliant, not achievable by mixing, and without evaluation of light fastness. So let's do this one more time with a conventional pigment. Opera Rose is one of the only 4 fluorescent non-light fast colors, so it's an outlier when it comes to the rest of the colors. So here's one, and this is Manganese Violet, one of my favorite colors, and its other labels include pan number 474, price group number 3, and pigment violet 16. I can also see its properties are good light fastness, semi-transparent, non-staining, and granulating. And Manganese Violet is described as a light fast, soft, brilliant red violet. This description is helpful in comparing this violet to other violets, which might be more blue or more intense, and so on. There's also a nice section devoted to covering the various mediums available from Schmincke. I already have gum arabic, which I use sparingly, and I no longer use masking fluid, but I do have a pan of oxgall as a dispersant. There are some other ones in here that I've never seen before, and 2 of the new ones that I was personally interested in were this aqua ground, a transparent watercolor ground. Let's turn some non-watercolor paper and surfaces I have into a passable watercolor paper. It also comes in white, but the transparent one is more interesting to me because it says it can be tinted white or another color, or just left clear, so I find this one the most exciting one to get. I was also intrigued by this aqua shine medium, as I can use it to make any of my colors pearlescent, and this would be a more stable option than buying pearlescent glittery colors from cheaper brands, and Schmincke already makes quality gold, silver, metallic color pans and aqua bronze powders, so this pearlescent medium will sort of round off that group of things, so you can have rainbow color metallics, and so you can peruse this little catalog, and then the pamphlet goes on to end with various pan and tube sets and palettes that are available. So it's a very informative pamphlet, and I'm glad to have received it. Lastly, I'm going to show my homemade color wheel chart, and this has grown since the last time it was in a YouTube video. I now have some Sennelier pan colors to the side on here. Sennelier has become my second favorite brand of watercolor after Schmincke, and I also have a few Winsor Newton pan colors, which I don't like at all because they were not soft and creamy, so I'm not going to be getting any more. The large circle and the strip of earth colors on here are my Schmincke watercolor pan colors. I have all the primary and secondary colors in spectral order around the wheel for clarity, and I have all the earth tones over on the side and vertical strips over to the left. I have 6 new pans here that I bought in December, and I'm finally going to unwrap and swatch them onto my color wheel now. And actually I'll sample swatch the Daniel Smith watercolor stick first because it's on its own. It's called Serpentine Green. It goes down like a very hard pastel, and the color doesn't show up so well for when it's dry. And even when I wet it, because there's not that much color depositing, you won't see that much color pop up. But when I cut a piece off of this, or any of the other 5 Daniel Smith watercolor sticks I have, they really wet down into some dense and creamy color, so they're actually very nice watercolors. So I'm just going to unwrap all the pans, and the label has all the color info on the side too, and you can save that part of the wrapper if you want, but I just chuck it. So I actually have all the color and pigment info in the pamphlet and also on the dot card, and I've also written it down, the most important parts of that information, on my homemade color wheel too. And these pans and wrappers do just look like yummy Jolly Ranchers candy or something, but don't eat them. They're totally not edible. They just look like candy. And I use this wheel that I made more than the new printed pamphlet or the older printed color sheet, and also more than the dot card, because here I see all of the colors I actually own and how they're related to each other on a color wheel. Don't have to be confused and look at all the other colors on the dot card or in the pamphlet that I don't own. I'm starting to run out of room, but I also have my other fine artist quality watercolor pans on here, so I can just make choices based off of the colors that I actually have. Okay, it's swatching time. I'll start with the earth color transparent green gold, and apart from the name, I've also written on here that it's 4-star light fast, which is very good, and transparent and semi-staining via the symbols here. Like the name says, it's got a greenish cast to it, more than any of the other earth tone yellows that I have, so I'm glad I got it. Next I'll swatch Bordeaux, and it's a nice cool red. I like to do an almost full pan-sized mid-density color swatch. You can do your swatches smaller or larger or gradated, because I know mentally that I can dilute this color and make it lighter or make it even denser and darker, so I don't really feel like I need the gradation here myself. Just a nice even color patch where it'll give me a clear color identity to compare with other colors on here. Next up is Potter's Pink, and I just adore this on the dot card and I'm so thrilled to get it. It's such a yummy shadow pink color. And then Perylene Violet, a lovely winey red. And just so you can compare that to the printed pamphlet, I can see that the Potter's Pink is very nearly the same in the printed rectangle as it looks in the real paint swatch, so the pamphlet works great for certain colors. With Bordeaux, the printed color is again a good indication of what the real pigment looks like. But when I compare the printed rectangle of Perylene Violet to my swatch of the real thing, the printed version is much duller and not true to life. The real color is much nicer, more brilliant, and red wine colored. The printed version is more towards a duller brown. So this is where the dot card is a fail-safe for examining the colors before you buy them. Some colors printed in a pamphlet or printed color sheet just don't represent the real color very faithfully. On to swatching my last 2 pans, Cobalt Turquoise, which is a lovely magical color, completely unlike all my other blues, and again I fell in love with it on the dot card, and Viridian, which looks super similar to my Phthalo Green, but it's a granulating color and that's why I got it. Schmincke now sells a granulating medium too, in case you want any color to granulate, but I don't really care to try that. Well, wizards, I hope you enjoyed looking at various store-bought and homemade Schmincke color charts with me, and seeing me unwrap and add in my 6 new Schmincke pan colors. Thanks for perking your brushes here. Please like, subscribe, and check out my website links and Patreon page to support my art and art channel below. And as always, wishing you all fantastical watercolor adventures.